Hello, welcome to another edition of Living Simply and Fun. And I was going to address something that I was talking to a friend today about. By the way, this is Blue Sky Jamaican Ginger Ale. Interesting thing about it is it has no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial flavors. It's just filtered carbonated water, sugar, ginger, and citric acid. So pretty much natural soda. It's what I've been kind of drinking lately, and it's hard to find around here. So, anyways, I'm on the phone with my friend this morning, and we get talking, and he mentions the fact that our channel is Living Simply and Fun, and we've been doing all cigar reviews. So I figured maybe it's time to do something other than a cigar review. And we got talking about history and how things have changed and how currently we're living in a time of modernization, basically, information. We have cell phones, we have internet, we have TV, we have radio, we have all sorts of things to keep us occupied and entertained. And kind of was thinking about the fact that I like reading books, and mostly older literature. And I came to an understanding the reason why I like the older literature is because it's in a time frame where they didn't have the information age. They didn't have the computers. They didn't have the cars. They didn't have transportation the way we know it. It's a different time frame, a different period. Things were done differently. Things that people did for entertainment, trust me, people back then didn't just sit and stare at a wall like so many bored today do. So I'm wondering, what is there that can be done that's free, that's costs little or whatever? Fishing used to be free, but I told my friend he should get a fishing license. Oftentimes he doesn't have enough food all the time, and I said, hey, at least this kills two birds with one stone. You can go fishing almost daily, you can catch your limit, you can take it home, you can eat it. Fish is good for you, is what they say, even though the water they're in might be polluted. But nonetheless, it's a way to kill time, it's a way to make sure that you have something to do. What people used to do in the future to keep entertained was find things to do work-wise, whether it be work in a garden, tilling soil, etc. These are things that you can do that possibly, depending on where you live. I mean, I live in an apartment complex. Kind of hard to have much of a garden. I can have something like a herb garden off my balcony a bit, but I might have a plant or two like tomatoes or something in a pot on the side. But I haven't done that yet because, well, just haven't gotten around to doing something like that. And I actually really want to. And I'm thinking, that it might take some money at first to initially get this started by getting dirt and pots and, all that stuff. But once you get it going, all it is watering it, making sure you water it every day, rotate it in the sun, etc., etc. And I'm thinking, you know what? This would be a good idea for me. He was talking about growing basil so he can make his own pesto sauce. And I'm like, well, that's kind of something that you can do, too. And I keep thinking about the fact that I like to try to find a tree to go sit down under and just read for a while. It's, again, something that you can do. It doesn't cost much. Libraries usually have books that you can take out as long as you return them in time. You'll probably return them in time if you actually sit there and read them. In fact, I just got the Aragon novel, the first book, today, and yesterday I watched the Hunger Games. And I've got the book out, and I'm really looking forward to that because the movie was really good. And I figure the book will actually be more insightful and might actually be better than the movie because the movie really didn't do much to, bring about character development with the other characters. Speaking of things like that, lately I've been having an idea in my head that I've been thinking about writing, novel-based. Again, people used to write on paper, we eventually modernized and people ended up writing on typewriters, and then now it's computers. But you can still write on paper if that's what you choose. It's just a little harder to get published that way if you ever try to. I'd probably be doing it just for myself anyways. It's just types of things that you can do that don't cost you money, really. I mean, a pad of paper costs what, $1 at the dollar store. You can get plenty that way. Heck, even the grocery store usually has dollar paper. Like, you can get pots cheap depending on where you go. I'd go to someplace like Goodwill or whatever. They almost always have something that you can use. Thanks, Rita. So I'm just trying to think of some ideas that can be done. I probably should exercise more than I do, go out for long walks. I've been trying to walk more, so that's a good thing too. But, sometimes some of that is tedium, but tedium is what keeps us busy anyways. It's not always necessarily fun when you're not in the mood to do it, but that's why you pick and choose sort of what you do. You don't need video game systems and all that stuff to be able to have a rewarding and fun life. It's just with the way technology is today and people saying, hey, you got to have the internet, you got to have a cell phone, you got to have a car, you have to do this, you have to do that. It gets depressing, and then you feel that without these things you have nothing to do. So you kind of sit and stare at a wall, and then it's like, well, what's the point? I'm bored and depressed. And, really the thing is just find a way to get up and get out and do things. And are you going to be crunching there? Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I just thought it was an interesting idea that, there are things that, you can do that. In fact, those old books kind of bring up ideas and stuff that you can do, things that you could do to keep your time. Knitting was something that a lot of people used to do. I am obviously not going to be knitting, but it has actually crossed my mind to try it sometime. I mean,
my uncle was doing looms.
Just because it's typically looked at as a female thing to do, it's still something to keep your hands busy. Mm-hmm. And you can get yarn pretty cheap, and it can't be that hard. I don't know. I mean, I've never tried it, so it has entered my mind to try it though. So maybe I'll do these projects someday, just so I can learn something new. And I'm sure there's, with our information age, that I should be able to go on YouTube and find basically how-tos, or search a website that'll end up having patterns and tell me how to make them and how to use the needles, etc. It might actually be entertaining. Why not? So, anyways, I don't really have much more to say on this. If you've got any ideas of things to keep yourself busy that are free, go ahead and mention them in the comments. Maybe I'll even do a video about them in the future, or something to that effect. Because I really do think that there's no reason to be bored in this age that we live in. Even if we don't have access to all the things that we'd like to have access to, such as internet or cell phone, whatever, or have a car to go driving out places. Backpacking trips around here can be rather difficult because there's no place to backpack to. You're walking in a city, you walk outside the city, you walk through farms. But, enough of that for now. Anyways, please feel free to add and subscribe, leave questions, comments, feedback, suggestions. Just keep it nice. There's no reason for vulgarity in this world. Speaking of that, I was watching this woman today. She's a cop, and she was talking about how this one bad cop in Louisiana had murdered somebody, and she was talking about how he was racist, and she's an African-American cop, and I'm sitting there thinking, just because the guy's a white cop working in a black neighborhood doesn't necessarily make him racist. But what I was thinking is she could have handled that much better. Yes, she was angry. Yes, she was mad. But there's no reason to start yelling and screaming and swearing and raising your voice to the point that people are listening to you scream at them. Because it doesn't do any good. And when you're texting somebody or leaving a message or something, there's really no need for any of that. You can still get your point across in simpler words and keep it nice. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and stay tuned.